Well, guess what? Yeah, I ordered another Coke with easy ice. Look at this. That's about 1 inch from the top. And it's packed full of ice. It's not just floating up. I already took the straw and smushed it around, and it's like completely heavy. What the hell? Why can't they understand what easy ice means? And I even had to drive up to the window and explain it to the girl. I want easy ice, because I couldn't understand it from the order, the little order box thing, the menu box, whatever, the speaker. And no, they can't get that right. Oops, my hand or my thumb is in the way. Something's in the way. Why? Why can't y'all just understand what easy ice is? That doesn't mean 1 inch from the top. Oh my gosh. I drank a little bit of the Coke. It did, go down about an inch. It's about right, maybe right there. And that's, just about 1 inch, maybe, from the top to about right there. Oh my God. This just makes me, it just, why? Why can't they understand that? Why, Sonic? Why? Okay. That's my rant. Again, another Sonic rant. I love the restaurant, but why? Hi y'all, it's Kimberly here. Thank you very much for coming to my channel. Today I'm going to do a story time, and it's about an experience that I had as a child. It was pretty scary. Actually, it happened to me and my sister. And just to preface it, I'm going to talk about how back in the day, when I was young, back in the early 70s, back then, you weren't a bad parent if you left your kids alone somewhere. It wasn't really considered. If you dropped them off at the movie theater, if you left them at the mall unattended, you could do that then, and there would be no consequences. Child Protection Service wouldn't be called or anything like that. It was very common, and it was really not that dangerous then. If you did that today, yes, you would be in so much trouble. For an example, my mom, this happened every summer for many years. She would drop us off at this really big swimming pool in town, and a lot of people went there, a lot of kids went there, and throughout the summer it would be full every day, and it cost, I think, 35 cents or 33 cents, something like that. No more than 35 cents. I can't remember. I think it was like $1.05 or something for all three of us, me and my two sisters, to get in. And we would stay there all day, like 8 or 9 hours. As soon as it would open, we would be there waiting for it to open, and we would stay there till it closed. And we loved it. That was just the best time ever. And we swam all day long. They had a concession stand there. My mom would give us $1 each. We would eat junk food like chips or a hot dog or and a Coke. And when we came home, we would be starving, and my mom would make a meal. This isn't a criticism of my mom leaving us there, or that was just the way it was, and it wasn't a big deal. Nobody really blinked an eye at it, bat an eye at it, or whatever. And we'd stay there. We had fun, and there was tons of other kids. There's probably 100 other kids. It was a huge pool that were dropped off by their parents. It'd be a line of cars. You see all the kids getting out and going in, paying, and they'd stay there all day. And it was kind of like having a babysitter for 35 cents a day, or maybe $1, whatever, the food and the cost to get in. And like I say, that wasn't a big deal. But compared to the way it is now, I believe it is more dangerous. I think there is more concern for leaving your kids at a place like that. And I want to say I was probably like 7 or 8 when my mom first did this, and my sisters were younger than me. And so I would keep watch over them. We were all good swimmers, and they had a lot of lifeguards, and not once did anybody ever drown when I was there. There were some close calls, and there were people who, there were children that nearly did drown. There was a few incidents, but there was no catastrophic thing that ever happened. And a lot of times that would be the way that it was at other places too. And a lot of times kids were left at home. They called them latchkey kids, and you just stayed at home all day long while your parents were at work. And I think I was 7 or 8 when this incident happened. Me and my sister, we were at home alone. My mom was at work, and this was just very common. It wasn't, like I say, I have to keep repeating that because it sounds horrible. It does. I would never do that. But at that time, that was the culture, and that was the way it was. It wasn't really thought of as a big deal, and you didn't get arrested for it. Things didn't happen like what happens now. But me and my sister, we got this big idea. It was a stupid idea, but we were kids. We didn't have any direction, and nobody was supervising us, and we were supposed to stay in the house or in the yard, not go running around the neighborhood. That was the deal. But we kind of skirted around that because we were going to, my sister had these big wheels. My 2 little sisters had big wheels. And we would ride them up and down the street. And we decided to tie them together with a jump rope. I think it was like 2 jump ropes. And one of them was, I was going to be riding the front one, and she was going to be in the back one, which was probably like 15 feet. And because at that time I was bigger. This is when I was much smaller, and they were smaller than me. There was a turning point where they grew bigger than me, taller than me, but at this point I was still the big sister. And I don't know why we did this. I still cringe when I think about it, but tied our big wheels together. We went to the end of the block, and then we went down the alley, and it was really bumpy. It had like rock and I guess like caliche gravel or something in it, and it was, ruts from the dirt and the trash truck going through there. And we were kind of trying to trudge along, and it was really kind of hard because I was trying to pull her weight and move my big wheel at the same time. And, with it being tied to mine, I was going pretty slow, and she was trying. She was a little bit smaller, but she was trying. And it was kind of scary because there were dogs in the backyard, and we just kind of did it okay, we're just going to do it real fast and get through there. And we'd never done that before, and it was kind of like a big deal for us to go down the alley. And I don't know why. We got to this one point just about there was a friend that we lived at one end of the block, and our friend lived in the middle of the block. So we got our big wheel right behind her fence, and then all of a sudden, for some reason, I just turned around and looked, and there was a guy coming down the alley, and he had on short shorts, very short shorts, and a t-shirt, or I think maybe like a tank top or something like that. It was the middle of summertime, and he started walking really fast, and I looked at him, and then my sister, she was scared. She had a look of fear on her, and I did too. I was like, and then he started running towards us. And at that time, I got up and I got my sister. I ran back to her big wheel, and I grabbed her off her big wheel, and I pulled her, ran forwards about 20 feet to the fence. It was a chain link fence, and thank goodness it had the little bar on the top. And I don't know how I did this, but I started to climb up the fence, and I looked back, and the guy had stripped off his shorts, and he was streaking through the alley. And he streaked through, and then he slowed down about 2 houses away, turned around, looked at us, and then he put his shorts back on. And he had no underwear on at all. So I think that this guy was a creep and a weirdo. I think this was kind of like his way of doing things, or MO, whatever the police say. And I don't know, while I was climbing up that fence, I was like about halfway up the fence when he did this, and I was terrified, but I don't know how I did it, but I just got to the top of the fence. I reached down to my little sister, I picked her up, and I threw her over the fence. And this was about, I don't know, like an 8-foot tall fence, and to a little kid, like a 7 or 8-year-old, that was a huge fence and a big climb. And ran through the backyard. They had a big chow dog that would bark at us, but I ran so fast and I hopped over. I don't know how I did it, but like a track star, ran, and then I hopped over the other fence going to the front yard, and I unlocked, or my sister unlocked the fence and walked through it, but I just hopped over it. And then I ran around and I banged on their door, and I said, "There's a man that was chasing us," and I was all frantic and upset. And then the police were called, and the woman who worked there was a social worker, my mom's friend, and so she kind of really knew how to handle it, and calmed us down and did everything. And she called the cops, and we had to describe what he looked like, and what he was wearing, everything, had to give a description. And the cop he seemed like he was very, not nervous, but like he treated it very seriously and was very, very concerned, and I just remember the way he was looking at us, and the way he was, like, I think it really upset him more, because I didn't really understand. All I knew was, oh, I saw a naked man, but I mean, it was like a whiz by. He ran by so fast. So it really wasn't that traumatic, but it was a little scary at the moment it happened. But afterwards, I was a little, like, kind of, why the two adults were very serious and very concerned about it, and I was a little like, why are they acting like this? He didn't get us, it's okay, and I really wasn't that upset after it happened, because I didn't know, the seriousness of it. That's the mind of a child, sometimes, because nothing really bad happened to us, even though it was a bad situation. So I think that had I been older, it would have been more traumatic, or been a more serious situation for me, but I just didn't really understand it. But when I look back, it's one of the scariest things that ever happened to me as a child. I mean, it was just very, when I think about it, and of course they called our mom, and the neighbor lady was like, well, they can stay with me, and I was like, no, I don't. I didn't want anybody taking care of me. I was so independent as a child, and so they couldn't really get me to stay. I just didn't want to do it, and so the lady kind of would come and check on us every once in a while. For a few weeks she did that, but we were kind of like banished to the house, to the inside, for a few weeks or a month or so. But then after a while, we went on our way. I used to ride my bike all over town unsupervised. I would go for miles, and just explore things. And I was very young, and I had no business doing it, but I was unsupervised, and that's the way it was back then. It was just kids were just on their own, and we just were so independent back then, not like how it is nowadays. But I can see, if I was a mother, I would be terrified to leave my kid alone. I really would, especially in this day and time. I mean, it is much more dangerous now than it was back then. I would have a lot more fear of leaving my child. I don't think I would not leave my kid at home like my mom did. We did it from me being age 7 till I think there was a couple times she did try to put us into a after-school daycare, and I wouldn't do it. I fought against it. I didn't want to do it, and it was very, very hard for my mom to and it was expensive, and that was the main reason that was the way it was back then, because it's very expensive to put kids into a program like that. Or they didn't have all these, it was the daycare you had to pay for. They didn't have all these after-school programs that were free. I think there might have been one in town, but I think you had to be driven to it or something. I don't remember, but okay. that's just a memory I have that I still think about it, and I still think about the fear that went through my heart, my body, everything as I was climbing that fence. But I was a little bitty thing, but I scaled that fence so quick, and I don't know how I had the strength to pull another body over me. And I remember I just flipped her and threw her over the fence. She tried to climb up the bottom part, but she was very little and very young, and I just threw her over. Okay, well, thank you all, and I'll be back with another video soon. Thank you.